World War II, a conflict remembered for its scale and brutality, but beyond the famous battles and leaders, there are stories that defy logic and expectation. Today at Plain Wealth, we're diving into the strangest, most unbelievable events of World War II, stories that textbooks often ignore. Prepare to question what you thought you knew about the war. Not every drama followed the expected script. Some are so bizarre, they seem almost impossible. Let's shine a light on these historical anomalies and the unique insights they offer into a world turned upside down. Rudolf Hess, Hitler's deputy, a figure shrouded in mystery and intrigue. A man at the very heart of the Nazi regime, deeply entwined with its rise and its darkest secrets. In May 1941, as the Second World War raged across Europe, consuming nations in its fiery grip, Hess did the unthinkable. An act so audacious, so unexpected, it continues to baffle historians to this day. He commandeered a Messerschmitt Bf 110 and flew solo, a lone wolf venturing into enemy territory. To Scotland, parachuting into a field near Glasgow, a dramatic descent into the unknown. His stated goal? To broker a peace agreement with Britain, a seemingly impossible mission, fraught with peril. Or at least that's the story he told. The true motives behind his daring flight remain a subject of intense debate. The British authorities were utterly stunned by his arrival. Prime Minister Winston Churchill was reportedly incredulous, struggling to comprehend the audacity of Hess's actions. Was this a rogue mission, a desperate gamble by a high-ranking Nazi official, or a more sinister secret Nazi ploy? Hitler, in a furious response, quickly denounced Hess as insane, disavowing any knowledge of the flight. But despite Hitler's condemnation, rumors swirled like wildfire. Was there a genuine peace offer on the table? Was Hess acting entirely alone, driven by his own agenda? Or was this a desperate power play within the Nazi hierarchy? Interrogations of Hess yielded only further confusion and ambiguity. Hess rambled incoherently about his desire for peace, a new world order, the dangers of Bolshevism, and even made bizarre claims that he was being systematically poisoned by his captors. After the war's end, Hess was brought to justice at the Nuremberg trials, often appearing strangely detached from the proceedings, seemingly lost in his own world and profoundly confused. He was ultimately sentenced to life imprisonment, and for decades he remained the sole inmate of Spandau prison, a lonely figure in almost complete solitary confinement, his continued imprisonment fueling a multitude of conspiracy theories and speculations. Some people fervently believed that he possessed secrets that were simply too dangerous to be revealed to the world, while others went so far as to doubt his very identity, suggesting he was replaced by a body double. In 1987, at the age of 93, Rudolf Hess was found hanged in Spandau prison. The official verdict was suicide, but his family, along with many independent investigators, strongly suspected foul play, raising serious questions about the circumstances surrounding his death. The British government released some files related to the case, but a significant portion remains classified to this day, effectively keeping the mystery surrounding Rudolf Hess alive and unresolved. Was Hess truly a madman, a deluded peace envoy, or simply a pawn in a much larger and more complex game of international intrigue? The truth, it seems, remains tantalizingly elusive. His audacious flight to Scotland stands as one of the Second World War's greatest and most enduring enigmas. A stark reminder that even in the most thoroughly documented conflicts, deep and unsettling mysteries can endure for generations. The story of Rudolf Hess remains a ghostly question mark hanging over the pages of history, constantly challenging our fundamental understanding of power, loyalty, and the often unpredictable and irrational nature of war. It serves as a potent reminder that sometimes the most bizarre and inexplicable actions can cast the deepest and longest shadows. And the long, dark shadow of Rudolf Hess still lingers, inviting us to question everything we think we know about the Second World War. As WWII neared its end, an unlikely alliance formed in the Austrian Alps. Castle Itter, a Nazi prison for French VIPs, was abandoned by its SS guards as the Reich collapsed. But danger remained. Fanatical SS units still prowled, threatening the prisoners. Enter Major Josef Gangl, a Wehrmacht officer who, disillusioned with the Nazis, joined forces with the local resistance and sought help from advancing Americans. Captain Jack Lee, commanding a single Sherman tank and a handful of GIs, agreed to help. Together, Americans, Wehrmacht soldiers, and French prisoners prepared to defend the castle. The SS attacked with heavy firepower, besieging the fortress. Ammunition ran low. The defenders, a mix of former enemies, fought side by side. Major Gangle was killed protecting a French prime minister, underscoring the alliance's sincerity. As the defenders neared collapse, American reinforcements arrived, breaking the siege. The SS were defeated and the prisoners saved. The battle for Castle Itter is a testament to the strange alliances war can forge. Former enemies united against a greater evil, transcending ideology for survival. It's a little-known episode of courage, cooperation, and the unpredictable humanity that can emerge in the chaos of war. Sometimes the lines between friend and foe blur in the face of true danger. In the end, it was this unity that saved the day, and history almost forgot it. Amid the icy dangers of the Arctic convoys, one story stands out for its warmth. Pollyanna, the reindeer who joined the crew of HMS Trident. In 1941, after a patrol near Murmansk, the British submarine's crew somehow acquired a young reindeer, either a Soviet gift or a lucky find. Pollyanna was brought aboard, adapting to the cramped, perilous life underwater. She became a beloved mascot, sharing rations, sleeping in torpedo tubes, and even nibbling on navigation charts. Her presence lifted spirits, offering comfort and distraction from the constant threat of attack. Pollyanna endured depth charges and long patrols, becoming a symbol of resilience and camaraderie. Eventually, as she grew, the crew realized she needed a new home. Upon returning to Britain, Pollyanna was honorably discharged and sent to Regent's Park Zoo in London. There, she lived out her days, a minor celebrity and a reminder of the strange joys that can emerge in wartime. Pollyanna's story is a testament to the human need for hope and connection, even in the darkest times. She was a creature of peace in a vessel of war, a living symbol of the unexpected bonds forged by conflict. In the coldest depths, she brought warmth, and her legend endures as one of WWII's most charming footnotes. Sometimes, the smallest stories leave the biggest mark, especially when they have antlers. November 1943. A critical juncture in World War II, the USS Iowa, a majestic battleship, was tasked with a vital mission, safely transporting President Roosevelt across the Atlantic. Protecting the president was paramount, and the Iowa was escorted by a fleet of destroyers, including the newly commissioned and somewhat untested USS William D. Porter. The Porter's reputation for mishaps began almost immediately upon leaving port, foreshadowing a series of unfortunate events, but those initial blunders were minor compared to the extraordinary, almost unbelievable incident that unfolded next. During a routine drill designed to sharpen the crew's readiness, a live torpedo was accidentally and inexplicably fired. Its target, the USS Iowa. The torpedo was heading directly for the president's ship, carrying the leader of the free world. Panic erupted on the William D. Porter. Breaking protocol and shattering radio silence, a desperate message was sent to warn the Iowa. "Torpedo in the water, bearing directly towards you." The Iowa's crew, initially skeptical, quickly confirmed the incoming threat with their own eyes. Reacting swiftly, the Iowa executed a hard turn, a desperate attempt to evade the oncoming torpedo. The torpedo missed the Iowa by mere seconds, a hair's breadth from disaster. It exploded harmlessly in the ship's wake, a watery testament to what could have been. A catastrophe of unimaginable proportions was narrowly averted, a collective sigh of relief sweeping across both ships. But for the Porter's crew, the ordeal was just beginning. Immediate arrest and a court-martial loomed. In a surprising turn of events, President Roosevelt himself intervened in the proceedings. He personally requested leniency for the torpedo man responsible for the accidental launch, recognizing the incident as a genuine, albeit monumental, mistake born of the fog of war. Despite escaping serious punishment, the Porter's reputation as a jinx ship was forever sealed. A series of further mishaps and unfortunate incidents continued to haunt its already checkered career. Ironically, after surviving so much, the ship was finally sunk by a kamikaze attack in 1945 during the Battle of Okinawa. Remarkably, despite the devastating attack, there was no loss of life among the crew. The story of the Porter's errant torpedo serves as a powerful cautionary tale, illustrating how a single, unforeseen error could have irrevocably altered the course of history. In the high-stakes environment of war, even the smallest, seemingly insignificant mistake can trigger a chain of events leading to world-altering consequences, with profound historical significance. Sometimes the fate of nations and the lives of millions turns on a fleeting flash of panic and a desperate last-second twist of the rudder. The porter's enduring legacy serves as a constant reminder that luck, combined with a healthy dose of quick thinking under pressure, can, against all odds, save the day from utter disaster. And that sometimes, perhaps even more often than we'd like to admit, the most dangerous enemy we face is our own human error. The president survived his journey and the war, but the legend, the almost unbelievable tale of the Willie D, lives on in naval lore. In the extensive annals of naval history, filled with tales of bravery and sacrifice, few stories are quite as strange or as improbable, and arguably none are quite so nerve-wracking to contemplate. Yang Kyung-jong's story stretches belief, a narrative so extraordinary it borders on the unbelievable. It tells of a Korean man who, against all odds, fought for 3 different armies during the tumultuous years of World War II, a feat almost unparalleled in the annals of military history. These were no minor skirmishes, but the major forces of the time, Japanese, Soviet, and German. His odyssey began with conscription by the Japanese in 1938, a time when Korea was under Japanese rule and its young men were compelled to serve the emperor. But his service with the Japanese was short-lived, as he was captured by the Soviets during the fierce battles at Khalkhin Gol, a conflict that foreshadowed the larger war to come. Following his capture, he was pressed into service with the Red Army, a common practice during the war as both sides sought to replenish their ranks. But fate had other plans for Yang. He was later captured by the Germans during the brutal fighting on the Eastern Front. Once again, he found himself forced into a new uniform, this time that of the Wehrmacht, eventually ending up in Normandy, far from his Korean homeland. On D-Day, the day of the Allied invasion, American paratroopers captured him, a moment that would cement his place in history. They were astonished to find an Asian man in a German uniform, a sight that defied all expectations and raised countless questions. A famous photo exists, purportedly of Yang, but historians continue to debate the full truth of his incredible journey. Wartime records are scarce, often incomplete or destroyed, and the fog of war obscures many details. Some historians and researchers suggest that Yang's story might be more legend than the verifiable fact, perhaps a composite of the experiences of several different men caught in similar circumstances. But whether it's entirely fact or partly folklore, Yang Kyung-jong's story poignantly highlights the absurdity and tragedy inherent in global conflict. It reminds us that individuals from colonized nations were often swept up in the tides of war, their lives and fates largely dictated by the ambitions and machinations of empires, and their own desperate need for survival. Yang's journey, if true, powerfully illustrates how war can erode and erase individual identity, forcing men to fight and die for causes and ideologies that were not their own choosing. After his capture on D-Day, he reportedly settled in the United States, seeking a new life far from the battlefields of Europe and Asia. There he lived quietly, seemingly trying to put the past behind him, until his death in 1992. His long silence about his wartime experiences speaks volumes about the deep trauma and profound confusion that must have haunted him throughout his life. Yang's tale, whether entirely real or embellished over time, stands as a potent symbol of the millions of forgotten soldiers whose lives were irrevocably shaped by the chaos of war. It forces us to reflect deeply on the complex themes of identity, survival against all odds, and the often random nature of fate in times of conflict. In the end, his story, however true, is a powerful testament to human resilience and to the strange, unpredictable, and often cruel tides of history that can sweep up individuals and nations alike. Ultimately, sometimes the most incredible journeys and the most compelling stories are also the hardest to definitively prove. Untold was a conflict of unimaginable scale, but within it lie stories of bizarre coincidences, unlikely alliances, and surreal moments. These tales, from Hesse's flight to a reindeer on a submarine, remind us that history is messy, unpredictable, and deeply human. The errant torpedo, the man in 3 uniforms, these aren't just footnotes, but windows into the chaos and complexity of war. By exploring these peculiar chapters, we gain a richer, more nuanced understanding of the past. The tapestry of history is woven with the extraordinary and the ordinary, and it's in their interplay that the fullest picture emerges. If you enjoyed these stories, please like, subscribe, and share for more fascinating history.